Welcome back, everyone, to the Queen of TV channel. Now, before we get into our intro, let's get some quick things out the way first. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and please watch the video to the very end. There will be cursing and profanity. If that's not your cup of tea, this channel is not for you. Also, and lastly, I'll be giving my honest opinion about the episode and the show as a whole. Without further ado, let's get into our intro. Welcome, everyone. I'm your host, the Queen herself, and you are the Prince and Princesses. You're either a viewer or a subscriber. Either way, welcome. Today, we are talking about H2O Season 2, Episode 14, Get Off My Tail. We start the episode off with Emma and Rikki having a swimming race, which they both later on have a friendly little argument about who won or not. Emma ends up running to Ash, and she is standoffish with him while they're talking and says that he is very arrogant once he leaves. Cleo and Rikki say they think he's cute, and she thinks that they are having bad taste in men. So once they get inside, Amber from the fourth episode at Emma's party says that Wilford had left her a message. Spoiler alert, Wilford never comes back. It's the last time we hear of him. I don't know what happened. That's left to interpretation. Emma has said that she's been working there a little bit over a year and that she had actually asked Wilford about giving somebody an assistant manager job and she thinks she'd be perfect for it. Quick note, Emma says that she's been at the Juice Net Cafe a little bit over the years. She started working at the Juice Net Cafe in season 1, episode 15, The Big Chill. And the girls became mermaids literally in the first episode of season 1. How has Emma only been there for a little bit over a year when the girls have not even been a mermaids for like a year? Because they celebrate their 1 year anniversary literally in the 18th episode, and this is the 14th episode. How are they celebrating 1 year of being mermaids 4 episodes later when Emma's literally stating that it's been a little bit over a year already? The math is not mathing. So Cleo and Rikki congratulate her and they leave to go to Cleo's house. Oh my gosh. Rikki ends up seeing the photo album that Cleo was looking at of her and Lewis, and Rikki is able to convince Cleo to tell her what's going on in her head. She says that Lewis spends all his time with Charlotte, which is true, and she never sees him anymore. We're going to talk about that in the review. She says that Lewis has officially moved on. She can't really talk to him. Rikki, in their heart to heart, tells her that just because Lewis has a new girlfriend, it does not mean they can't be friends. So Cleo goes to talk to Lewis, and they both admit that not only have they been missing each other, but Lewis says he's been thinking a lot about Cleo. Cleo asks him if he wanted to go get some juice, and Charlotte shows up where she tells Cleo that Lewis and her are going past the point somewhere at a perfect spot for her to work on her sketches. And Cleo gives Lewis a compliment saying that's Lewis. He's always so thoughtful, trying to make the situation not too awkward. Lewis tells Cleo maybe another time for that juice, which Charlotte shows a suspicious look about that. And Cleo says it's fine, he has plans. Lewis does try to apologize, but Cleo tells him it's okay, and she walks off from an uncomfortable situation, mind you. Emma is still reading over this email, and apparently she says that Wilford took her advice, but he doesn't persistently say that she got the job. That's because he gave the job to Ash, who shows up revealing that he is the assistant manager. Now, Emma is not happy about this, especially it being Ash, because she feels like she knows that place better than he does, so she should have gotten the job. Okay? Ash starts making changes. He wants to change the menu and also the outfits. Emma and him have a back and forth with her disagreeing with all these changes, and obviously he handled it with grace. He doesn't get upset. He's smiling the whole way through, and he's letting her vent out her frustrations. Obviously, he knows that she thought that she would probably get the job, but she didn't, so she's upset. The first time she wears the outfit, she's serving Rikki, who apparently tries to contain her laughter. She even tells her that it's a nice hat that she's wearing. Emma ends up rolling her eyes and goes inside, still obviously pissed about all these changes. And Rikki's just having a good old time. Cleo and Rikki are at the island, Mako Island to be exact, and Cleo obviously is frowning. Cleo tells Rikki that Lewis has moved on and she needs to accept that. Rikki says no, she doesn't, actually. But Cleo is at the last stage of the 5 stages of grief, which is acceptance. Because that's what her and Lewis have been dealing with for a while now. So that's where they're at this point, at the acceptance level. I think Lewis had already accepted it back in episode 10 because in reality he had no choice. But I think like in this episode is when he like fully accepts it. But at the same time he still loves Cleo and is still in love with Cleo, which obviously I do not count as emotionally cheating. And I'll get to that in like a Lewis video. So not because emotional cheating isn't cheating. It is cheating, but this is different. Now back to the episode. Rikki tells Cleo that Charlotte doesn't have anything that she doesn't have, right? That just because she's a mermaid does not mean that Lewis doesn't like her. Because Cleo is complaining that she is a mermaid and that is the problem, that Lewis wants to be with someone that is an ordinary girl. Rikki tells her that being ordinary is boring, which, yeah, that's true, and it's also stressful. But she lets Cleo know that she has something that Charlotte doesn't. Charlotte is not a mermaid yet. So Cleo takes her advice and she goes see Lewis, who's having a tough time finding fish to bite, and he blames the bait he got from the bait shop. Is it not refundable? Um, so Cleo tells him that she knows what the bait's really fresh, and that it's past the point. And when he asked her how she found it, she told him there are perks to being a mermaid. So he goes with her, and they have a nice, sweet moment together with the two of them swimming with the together. And spoiler alert, this is something that Gracie and Max used to do. Max is obviously the original Mermaid's version of Lewis. So she ends up showing him where the bait is, and it is a bunch of different fish. They not little small fish, they these like round, fat looking fish. But he ends up getting some small baby fish we see later on. Now, Emma obviously is still upset about these changes. She is venting to anybody that will listen. And Ash is still at his best, handling it with grace. He decides to make changes to the juice menu. One of the changes is one of the juices that Emma had made, and she said it took her months to make it. And they are taking it off the menu because it's apparently not selling. So it's not the biggest seller. And jobs do this. If something's not selling so well, they don't use it anymore because it's not making the store any money or the cafe or the shop. So this is a normal thing that happens. Emma obviously is upset about this, but what can she do? He's the boss. She has to do what he says. Cleo and Lewis are back from their bait hunting, and they have a little moment together where Lewis has said they haven't really been spending a lot of time together, and he would really like for them to hang out. And Cleo accepts this as they continue having their heart to heart. They both leave with big smiles on their face. So it's nice that they can be friends and still be in love with each other at the same damn time without actually crossing any boundaries. Because it's not like Lewis is cheating. Because he is being faithful to Charlotte and he does like her. He's just not in love with her. But that's his girlfriend, and as long as him and Cleo ain't kissing on the lips, holding hands, and sneaking around with each other just to have romantic moments, and it's just like strictly mermaid business and just being friends, there really is no harm in this. Well, to me at least. Like I said, I was playing that in that Lewis video. So Charlotte was waiting for Lewis, God knows how long, and she asks him where he's been and he gives her the runaround. She notices that he forgot to bring his phone and she reminds him that he never goes anywhere without his phone, which I mean, nobody does really. That's like a common sense thing I would think everybody's supposed to do, not go nowhere without their phones in case something happens. So I don't see how that was a huge issue unless there's a lot of people that's dumb enough not to bring their damn phones, like idiots. Not me. Would definitely be bringing my phone. And Lewis tells her that everything is fine, but something in Charlotte's heart doesn't feel right. So yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that in the review. I don't know why he didn't just tell her I was just hanging out with Cleo just a second ago. Why was it such a damn secret? I don't know, understand. But I think I do understand, but at the same time I don't understand. So Emma finds out that Ash has changed the organization in the cool room to make everything more efficient. Fruit on one end, dairy on another end, and then all the food on a separate end. Because apparently the way they had it was, I think they had the dairy and the fruit together, and the produce just all around or something like that. And he's trying to make it more efficient in there because that way everything cools down because everything is supposed to be cooled at a certain temperature. So by moving the dairy away from the fruit, the dairy can actually stay frozen and chill while the fruit will just be cold, and the meat would not like spoil anything or make anything else spoil because it's sitting somewhere else. So I don't know. With all these changes, I'm sorry. I kind of agree with Ash. I do not think that any of the changes that he's making is bad, except for that last one he puts in. But like the changing outfits, the removing everything from the menu that's not selling and just selling new different types of juice instead of the same juice that they've been selling probably since that place has been open. And like getting rid of the surfing thing because this is a cafe about obviously juice. I understand this is the tropics. This is Australia, so surfing everything is like a name brand, but like trying to change everything up to fit the modern demographic, considering this is supposed to be 2008. And ain't no telling how long we've had this place. This place has probably been like this since the 1990s. So trying to change everything to fit with the times is smart. Because then everybody's going to want to come and you get more customers. But Emma obviously is upset about this, and Ash tells her that she should be working with him, not against him, which he's right. They're supposed to be a team. Work with him. So Emma, again, is still bickering. This is where we get to the last change that Ash has made. He has decided to put a basketball court, not like big basketballs, but like little small ones. So everybody can play basketball. People get sweaty, people get tired, they want to order more juice. That is a terrible idea. First of all, it affects work efficiency. Drinks are falling everywhere. Glass gets broken. That is a terrible idea. That is too much fitting with the times. I understand that. Wait a minute, no, High School Musical was not out yet. I was about to say, I think they're trying to be like High School Musical. I don't know when. I can't remember when it first came out. But I just feel like adding sports in a juice cafe that's next to the water is a bad idea. Make it beachy surf style with a twist. Don't add no damn basketball in this. That to me is, forgive me, my fellow Americans, but that to me is too American. You don't need to put sports in there. So I agree with her with that. And again, she is venting to anyone that will listen. He obviously hears her. He again handles it with grace, even though she's right this one time. That basketball thing was a terrible idea. I do not agree with that. And the conversation ends with her again being defeated. So she goes to vent to Cleo and Rikki, who apparently don't see the big issue in the changes and think that maybe Emma must act like this because she likes him. Rikki brought up the fact that she thinks there's chemistry between them, but Emma says that she's wrong. She's not attracted to him. Rikki says she didn't say nothing about no attraction. She said that she thinks there's chemistry, which has Emma throw a pillow at her. The next day, Cleo goes to meet Lewis at the pier because yet again, this is the third time we've seen Lewis and Charlotte hang out together, and Charlotte is sitting up there watching him fish. I'm sorry, but I have to say this. I do not care for this. This is a date. This is interesting to her. She has to only be doing this shit to suck up to his benefit. There's no way that Charlotte cares about his fishing. Because we know for a fact, we found in the 24th episode during his birthday, she does not care about boats. She thinks they're quite boring. So we know she's faking a lot of stuff that she pretends that she likes with him. But there's no fucking way that she likes this. Cleo likes it because she used to do it with him. And I believe that. So Cleo isn't faking. The only reason why Cleo eventually gets tired of it because she's a mermaid now. She can literally go get the fish. She don't have to fish for it. But like, for this as a date, I couldn't. I'd be like, you must be joking. But she runs into them and she tells Lewis that she had a great time yesterday, which obviously upset Charlotte because Lewis forgot to mention that. Obviously, Cleo realizes real quick that she might have made a mistake, and Lewis did not tell Charlotte, which again, when we get that review, we're gonna talk about that. So she leaves and Lewis says goodbye, and Charlotte brings the fact that Lewis did not tell her that Cleo was there, and he said, didn't I? She said, no, you didn't. You left that point out conveniently. He put his damn foot down. Now, he needs to do this a lot more than what he's doing now. Like, he's doing it, but he's not doing it enough. He's being too nice. But he tells her point blank that Cleo is a good friend and he does not see the need to tell her every time they hang out together. And he's right. And she accepts that, and then she says, you know what? You're right. Now you're with me, so it doesn't matter. Yeah. So, Charlotte and Lewis continue on with their watching him fish date. Couldn't have been me. While Rikki is wondering if Emma's ready to butt heads with Ash again. And Emma has thought about it and says that all these ideas is not going to work, and that she uses the fact that no one's outside as a reason as to see that it's not working. Well, that's until she walks inside and sees a bunch of people playing basketball, shooting hoops, and like there's drinks getting everywhere, glass getting knocked over. Like it's chaos in there. And Rikki points out that the reason why it's a bunch of girls in there is because of Ash, because Emma does bring that up. And we do see Emma kind of get jealous. So Emma decides to use her powers to freeze the watermelon. And as a result, she ends up getting defeated again because he takes a mallet, busts it open, and bam! Frozen watermelon for everybody. She was not expecting that to happen. So, yeah, she admits defeat at this rate. And she tells Rikki that maybe he was right. I still don't think he's right about that basketball court. And she decides to work with him. Well, it's too little too late because somebody's been putting spoiled dairy on the side with the fruits and stuff like that. And he thinks it's Emma. They have a little argument. He accuses her because she's the only one that's been having disagreements with it, and he fires her. So Emma accepts that and leaves. He does find out in a few minutes later, like later on, that it was actually Amber. He goes to Emma's house to apologize. She asks if he's going to fire Amber too, and he says no. And he even agrees to get rid of the basketball court and bring back her juice that she made, even though he was right about the juice thing, but only wrong about the basketball court. They make up, and they even also agree on to going on a date. And the episode ends there. First of all, let me just be clear here, now that we have started my review. Emma was being a bitch. Okay, look. Emma was the one being difficult. She is the wrong in situation, yes. Ash might have been wrong for firing her without trying to accurately point out that it was her that was doing it without asking around who left the dairy and just assuming it was Emma. But, like, he was also wrong about the basketball court as well. Except for the other stuff. Yes, he was correct. They do need to make change. They do need to get with the time. They do need to change the theme up a bit. Yes, it's normal to change the outfit of your workers. They do that all the time. I'm literally at my second job, and everybody only wears like one color shirt. But like in my previous job, we had to wear different type of shirts. On top of that, like the juice thing about if it's not selling, it needs to go. That's smart. That's what you're supposed to do. That's normal. That isn't like messing everything up and making a bunch of changes. I just feel like Emma was being ridiculous in that fact. So Emma in this case was fully in the wrong. And I think the only reason why she was being difficult is because she did like Ash a little bit, but it was more due to the fact that she was butthurt about the fact that she didn't even get the damn job. So, I mean, that's something you take up with Wilford. You don't take that with Ash. Like, there has to be some reason why Wilford thought that Emma wasn't qualified and why Ash was. I think Emma thought that because she was there longer and she knew the place better than him, she thought that with her experience, she knew better than him and that she should have had the job. She felt entitled to the job. But like it doesn't matter how long you've worked somewhere, you have to put a certain amount of work in it and be dedicated to the work, and it does depend on how your leadership role is handled. And I feel like if Emma had done this, her leadership role would have went to her head because we saw in season 1 episode 15 what happened when she became the manager, how her attitude was then. So no, he did make the right call because Ash at least has a leveled head and knows how to run a business without getting upset and getting all in his feelings. Now, let's talk about Rikki real quick. Yeah, Rikki was an MVP in this episode. One, she knew that Emma liked Ash for like the jump, even Cleo did. Two, she helped Cleo and Lewis out. Like, she kept telling Cleo, like, hey, you and Lewis can be friends. The hell if he's with Charlotte. You were here first. There's no reason why you two can't hang out. And it's good that she's pushing this because she's being supportive. And we've had moments where Rikki has been a supportive friend. Yes, she's had a moments where she's gone back to being her selfish self and doing things that she shouldn't because of her pride. or at least because the fact she's afraid of what would everybody else think. But we do see her be more mature and handle things a lot differently. Sure. Now let's talk about Cleo and Lewis and Charlotte. Am I gonna talk about this now, or am I gonna leave this in the Lewis video? I'm gonna talk about it now. The reason why I say that Lewis' emotional state is not cheating when it's towards Cleo is because he's had these feelings since like they broke up. This has been something that's been known by Charlotte, and if you actually do pay attention to her interactions and how she acts with him from like the moment she's met him up to the point of them like just started dating, you'll notice that she knows that Lewis is still in love with Cleo. She refuses to allow him and Cleo to get back together, so that's why she keeps involving herself. And to be fair and honest, ever since Cleo and Lewis broke up, Lewis has slowly been deviating from the group. And Cleo isn't wrong when she says that Lewis spends all his time with Charlotte, because that's the truth. Lewis obviously could not deal with the fact being a part of the group anymore, considering that him and Cleo broke up. And that's the same thing that happened with Max, who we are going to be introduced to later in the 19th episode of Gracie's Code, part 1. He too used to date Gracie, and when they broke up, he no longer wanted to be friends with the other two girls who stayed mermaids for a little bit before they gave up their powers. To be fair and to be honest, both he and Lewis only joined the friendship group is because of Gracie and Cleo. I think Lewis more so wanted to be a part of it because Cleo was. And you can evidently see that in how they constantly keep telling him that Cleo is involved in whatever they're doing to get him to do it. So he'll do it if Cleo's involved. And I feel like the only reason why he stuck at Alpha so long is because of Cleo, without her like asking him to all the time. Because every time she does ask him if if she's a good enough reason for him to stick around or anything like that, Lewis he absolutely says nothing. So when it's other people, yeah. So I feel like that there is not emotionally cheating now that he does have a girlfriend, because the girl that he's with has been made clear by him that he did not have that type of romantic feelings for her. And I'll get more on that in his video. But also in this episode, now about why I understand and why I don't understand why he didn't tell Charlotte that he was with Cleo when she was waiting for him. I feel like he should have told her, because at the end of the day, like Rikki said, just because he got a new girlfriend, it does not mean him and Cleo can't be friends. So I don't understand why he just doesn't be honest and say, hey, I was hanging out with Cleo and we went to go get fresh bait. We actually went out to get it. I went, she found it, because her dad's a fisherman. She knows where it is. And I decided to go out there with her, and she showed me without having to say that me and Cleo went to swim together, because she knows that Cleo doesn't get in the water. So obviously she wouldn't believe that Cleo actually got in the water. But then I do understand it, because when Lewis does admit that he was hanging out with Cleo, Charlotte tend to want to be involved and try to, in a way, get in the way of them like just being friends, or like she tried to pull that bullshit in episode 20 of this season, where she was trying to accuse Lewis of like legit cheating on her with like 3 girls, and went to Cleo's house to confront her about what exactly. So yeah, at the same time, I don't understand it, because then at the end of the day, if she really can't accept it, then they probably shouldn't be together if she doesn't trust him. And then also understand why he didn't, because she tends to get so upset that she feels like the need to try to come at Cleo for no reason. But that's all I got for you guys today. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I hope you have a blessed day. And if no one told you today, I'm telling you, I love you. And I'll see you guys in the next one, because you already know this ain't the last time we'll see each other. So until then, bye, guys.